Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Mishpikar. Welcome again to another edition of Watchmen of the Faith Ministries. My name is Kasada Ba. Now, before we get started, we must make sure that we give all praises, respect, and honor to the Father, Ab Yahuwah, for sending his ultimate love gift, Yahushua HaMashiach, who was and is that atoning sacrifice for the nation of Yashra'al. All right, that is very, very important for us to understand the redemptive role of the Messiah, and that the Messiah was that atoning sacrifice. Without us understanding the redemptive role of the Messiah, I find that when you begin to read the scriptures, you're going to miss the point. You're going to clearly miss the point. Because when we begin to read the scriptures, we should be able to see now the redemptive role of the Messiah. We should see the purpose of an atoning sacrifice through the Moedims, the festivals of Yahuwah that is talked about in the book of Vayikra, or the book of Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. All right, it explains in detail, all right, the redemptive role of the Messiah. It talks about the festivals and how all of the festivals now were actually now a precursor or leading us up to Yahushua HaMashiach. All right, Yahushua HaMashiach. Now, I want to prove everything that I just said. All right, I want to go to the book of Yahuchanan, and I'm going to start at the 10th chapter, read it down from verses 1 to 42. All right, the book of Yahuchanan, the 10th chapter, verses 1 to 42. I'm not going to go through any breakdowns or anything like that because there's a lot of verses here. But it is very important that we understand again the redemptive role of the Messiah. And without that proper understanding, again, like I said, we're going to miss the point, and I just don't want to just run over things. All right, this is very, very important. Yahuchanan, the 10th chapter, verse 1. It says, Amen, Amen, or truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter through the door into the sheepfold, but climbs up by another way, that one is a thief and a robber. All right, a thief and a robber. But he who enters through the door is the shepherd of the sheep. The doorkeeper opens for him, and the sheep hears his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. Verse 4. And when he has brought out his own sheep, he goes before his sheep. He goes before his sheep. All right, so the sheep follow, okay, the shepherd. All right, the sheep follow the shepherd. Verse 4. And when he has brought out his own sheep, he goes before them, and the sheep follows him because they know his voice. That word voice is very important, but I'm not going to speak on that. All right, but you're going to see how many times the word voice comes up in these scriptures here. Verse 5. And they shall by no means follow a stranger, but shall flee from him, because they do not know the voice of strangers. All right, so the sheep don't know the voice of strangers. The sheep only knows the voice of the shepherd. All right, and we're going to show that Yahushua HaMashiach is that shepherd who's actually leading the sheep. Verse 6. Yahushua used this figure of speech, but they did not know what he had been saying to them. Verse 7. Yahushua therefore said unto them again, Amen, Amen, or truly, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. Verse 8. All who came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. Whoever enters through me, he shall be saved, and shall go in and shall go out and find pasture. Verse 10. The thief does not come except to steal, and to slaughter, and to destroy. I, Yahushua HaMashiach, I have come that they might possess Chaya, which is life, which, by the way, is the title of today's show, which is called Life Before Adam, the Barashyth account. But I just want you to concentrate on now this word life. And again, that word life in Hebrew is Chaya. All right, Chaya. I have come that they might possess Chaya, a life, and that they, which is the nation of Yashra'al, might possess it beyond measure. Verse 11. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his chayah, or his life, for the sheep. So this is now explaining now the redemptive role of the Messiah. The Messiah is the shepherd of the sheep. He's going to lay down his life for his bride. For his bride. All right. Verse 12. But the hireling, and not being a shepherd, one who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees. And the wolf snatches the sheep and scatters them. Now the hireling flees because he is a hireling and is not concerned about the sheep. I am again the good shepherd, and I know mine, and mine know me. So a voice of a stranger they will not follow. Verse 15. Even as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down again my chayah for the sheep. And the sheep is the nation of Yashra'al. And of the sheep I have which are not of this fold, I have to bring them as well. And they shall hear my voice. That word voice again is very important. And there shall be one flock, one shepherd. So we know here this is talking about both northern and southern kingdom, bringing them unto one fold. So the two shall be one. So this is talking about both northern and southern kingdom. 17. Because of this the Father loves me, because again I lay down my chayah, or life, in order to receive it again. No one takes it from me, the chayah, or the life, but I lay it down of myself. I have authority to lay it down, and have authority to receive it again. This command I have received from my Father. And that is very important, because a lot of non-messianics, they can't see that Yahushua HaMashiach isn't taking anything away from the Father. He's given all credence and all respect to the Father, and we see this throughout the Brit Hadashah. Throughout. Again, overstanding the redemptive role of the Messiah, overstanding, all right, the atoning sacrifice is going to be very, very important. Extremely important. Verse 19. There came a division among the Yahudim because of these words. And many of them said, he has a demon and is mad. Why do you listen of him, or listen to him? Verse 21. Others said, these are not the words of one possessed by a demon. Is a demon able to open the eyes of the blind? At that time, Hanukkah came to be in Jerusalem, and it was winter. And Yahushua was walking in the Mikdash, in the porch of Solomon. So the Yahudim surrounded him and said unto him, how long do you keep us in suspense? If you are the Messiah, say to us plainly. Yahushua answered them, I have told you, and you do not believe. The works that I do in my Father's name, the works that I do in my Father's name, they bear witness concerning me. But you do not believe, because you are not of my sheep, as I say to you. My sheep, okay, and again, the operative word is my. So my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And I give them everlasting chayah, or life, and they shall by no means ever perish, and no one shall snatch them out of my hand. But watch how it gets deeper. My Father who has given them to me, my Father who has given them to me, is greater than all. And no one is able to snatch the sheep out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are akkad. This is the unity that I'm always talking about. This is the family unit where when you see me, you should be able to see my Isha. When you see the Father, you see the Son. This is that akkad. This is that unit. This is that family. This is this building that the Father is trying to build. And he's using Yahushua HaMashiach, all right, to bring the sheep back to the fold. Verse 31. Again the Yahudim picked up stones to stone him. Yahushua answered them, many good works have I done, or have shown you from my Father. For which of these works do you stone me? The Yahudim answered him, saying, We do not stone you for a good work, but for blasphemy, and because you, being a man, make yourself equal, to Elohim. Yahusha answered them, Is it not written in your Torah, I said you are Elohim? If he called them Elohim, to whom the word of Elohim came, and it is impossible now for the scriptures to be broken, do you say of him whom the Father made Kodesh and sent into the world, you are blaspheming, because I said I am the son of Yahuwah? If I do not do the works of my Father, do not believe me. Simple and plain. But now, or however, if I do, though you do not believe me, believe the works, so that you know and believe that the Father is in me and I in him. Therefore they were seeking again to seize him, but he went forth out of their hand, and went once again to the other side of the Yarden, to the place where Yohanan was immersing at first. And there he stayed. And many came to him and said, Yohanan indeed did no sign, yet all that Yohanan said about this man was true. Verse 42, and many believed in him there. Now the reason why I brought, I wanted to bring that scripture to our attention, again, because it is very important for us to understand the redemptive role of the Messiah. The Father is sending his ultimate love gift. And he's sending his ultimate love gift that we might have life. Prior to the Messiah coming, the world was in darkness. The Messiah is the light of the world. And so we, the nation of Yashra'al, should be able to recognize the voice of the shepherd, because the voice of the shepherd is speaking instructions, and instructions are, or is, the Torah. All right, plain and simple, real easy. Now, with all of that being said, all right, the title of today's show is called Life Before Adam, the Barashyth account. Again, Chaya, or Life Before Adam, the Barashyth account. Now, but before I get started, all right, this is how I'm going to introduce my argument. One of the most important words in the Torah and in the Aramaic Peshitta, I'm talking about the Brit Hadashah, is the word life. This word life here, okay, is going to be very, very important. This word life in Hebrew is actually, it looks like this. Okay, I'll do it this way. Kaya, okay, or you might see it this way. Kaya, spelled this way, C-H-A-Y, or K-H-A-Y, and it means life. All right, that's going to be very, very important. Now, again, my argument is going to be this: is that there cannot be life on earth without water. All right, so life and water is going to be very important in this series that I'm doing here, and I'm going to show the connection how Yahushua HaMashiach is both the life, or the Chaya, and he's also the water. And to prove this, we're going to go to the book of Yahuchanan, the 4th chapter. All right, Yahuchanan, the 4th chapter, and then all of this is going to come to a head today. All right, it's going to all come to a head today. I've been doing this series for a little while now. The 4th chapter, and I'm going to be reading verses 7 through 15. It says, a woman of Shemaron, okay, or Samaria, came to draw water. Okay, this Mayam. Yahusha said unto her, give me to drink. For his Talmudim, or his disciples, had gone off into the city to buy food. The woman of Samaria or Shamaron therefore said to him, how is it that you, being a Yahudim or Yahuda, ask a drink from me, a woman of Shamaron or Samaria? For Yahudim do not associate with the Samaritans. Yahusha answered and said unto her, if you knew the gift of Elohim, which is the ultimate love gift, Yahushua HaMashiach, if you would have known that, and who it is who says to you, give me to drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. All right? Living water. So when we begin to look at the word living, okay, or life, we're talking about the word chaya, living water, mayam. The woman said unto him, Adoni, or sovereign, you have no vessel, and the well is deep. From where then do you have living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, and his sons and his stock? Yahusha answered and said unto her, every one drinking of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinks of the water I give him shall certainly never thirst, and the water that I give him shall become in him a fountain of water, springing up everlasting chaya. Okay. The woman said unto him, sovereign, give me this water, so that I do not thirst nor come here to draw. All right. So I just wanted to show here again the in the series that I've been doing. All right, we've been talking a lot about water. We've been talking a lot about the earth and the earth's association. Okay, I'm trying to draw a parallel with the word ovum and with birth and everything. I'm trying to make this thing as clear as possible, where this is all foreshadowing, okay, Yahushua HaMashiach. He's all these things. And then again, this explains now the ultimate love gift. I believe is that if we were able to clearly understand the full function of the human body, there should be no way, no how anybody can say that the Messiah doesn't exist. There should be no one believing in the Torah, because everything is based upon the principles of agricultural terms, astronomy, and the design on how the human body works. All of it is leading to Yahushua HaMashiach. All of it. Let's go on. The spiritual application behind this story is this. For life to exist in anything, water or mayam must be present. All right, the literal water must be present, okay? And the spiritual application behind it is that the Messiah, being that living water, okay, is very important in our lives, because that's the only way that we can truly live, that living water. And then there's that actual water, again, okay, that's composed all around us. All right, let's leave it at that. Now, again, for life to exist in anything, water must be present, and a divine spark of light from the sun. S-U-N and S-O-N. I'm going to say it again. In order for life to exist in anything, we must have water, and it must be present, and a divine spark of light. We need to now identify, all right, this divine spark of light. And you can find that divine spark of light in Barashyth, the 1st chapter, the 2nd verse. All right, let me just get that right quick. I just want to make sure that everything is being explained as detailed as possible. And it says that the earth came to be formless and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the rock of Elohim was moving on the face of the waters. All right, again, mayam. But watch this, verse 3. And Elohim said, let light come to be, and light came to be. Now, the Hebrew word for light is or. So again, The water, the mayam, is important. Okay, the life, chaya, is important, and the light, or, is important. These three factors here make up one body of the Father and the Son. This is all one body. I'm going to go ahead and prove this a little bit more. For example, the Son stimulates the life force in all things. Human life is stimulated by the Ruach like a plant. Its life is stimulated by the sun and is known as, and this whole thing now is known as photosynthesis. Again, the best way that we can understand Yahushua HaMashiach is to look at anatomy, astronomy, from an agricultural standpoint, in the moedim, okay, of Yahuwah. With those tools under your belt, you can't miss. All right, that's my challenge to the nation of Yashra'al. If you keep those principles, okay, anatomy, agriculture, astronomy, those things there, and the festivals of Yahuwah, keep those things in mind as you read, you will never miss the mark. Guaranteed. Because all this is going to, again, is going to lead to Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay, again, a plant, its life is stimulated by the sun and is known as photosynthesis. Once combined with water, the plant then grows and releases oxygen into the air that we breathe. Okay, so again, this breath, this ruach, again, is what gives this plant life in the photosynthesis stage. This ruach now was also breathed into man, and man became a living spirit. And so now, what is now man's responsibility? Man's responsibility now is to also give oxygen, or give the Torah, and give the word to the other nations, because everybody else is dead. Without the instructions of Yahuwah, you're considered dead. And so what makes us a living being is oxygen, and what is inside of water? What's inside of water is oxygen. All right, and so this is when we begin to look at the compounds that's in oxygen. When we begin to look at things like argon, we begin to look at nitrogen, and we begin to look at there's another one. There's oxygen. Excuse me. There's argon, nitrogen, and oxygen. These three components here are what we need in order for us to breathe and be considered living beings. All right. So I just wanted to bring some of that to the table. Also, it must be understood that in this lesson that I'm doing, every seed, okay, every seed, every protozoa and embryo, okay, begins its life in water. I'm going to say it again. Every seed, protozoa, and embryo begins its life in water. The light stimulates the water, giving it life. Like the many colors in water, okay, from a rainbow. However, as I speak, there's a bill on the table, right? Because this is very important. Water, the earth, the sun, anatomy, all this is very important. Because right now, as I speak, like I said earlier, there's a Senate bill, 787, that's sitting on the table. It hasn't been passed yet. But what the federal government wants to do is actually possess, all right, all of your oceans, your rivers, your lakes, your ponds, and your creeks. Because they understand or understand now that the life is inside of the water. That's the reason why I brought out in a previous show that I did now, is that when we look at the creation story, where we see now the earth, okay, being submerged under water, we have minerals and chemicals and chloride and potassium, all these things inside of the water, okay. And what's happening now is that all this stuff is being dissolved inside of the soil, making the soil fertile. But we're going to go a little bit deeper into that, all right, today. All right, a little bit deeper. The first thing that we want to do, okay, because I've done a lot already, I want to go into Barashyth, the first chapter, okay, the 20th verse, okay? Barashyth, the first chapter, 1 and 20. And Elohim said, let the waters bring forth abundantly, all right? Now, what I want to do is look at that word abundantly, okay? Let's look at that. I got my notes here. Let's see. The word abundantly is the Strong's number 8317, okay? 8317. And the Hebrew word is sharats, spelled S-H-A-R-A-T-S. And it means to teem. It means to swarm. It means to multiply. It means to wriggle. And the word wriggle means to move in a twisted or contorted motion. Again, the word that I want to look into real heavy is the word wriggle. And the word wriggle again means to move in a twisted or contorted motion. Now, what we do is we read verse 20 again. And Elohim said, let the waters bring forth abundantly now the moving creatures that have life and fowl, that they may fly above the earth in the open firmament of Shamayim. All of this is happening now because of water. Inside of the water, there is life. We went now to the book of Yehukanan, the 4th chapter, where Yahushua HaMashiach is speaking about the life that's in the water, and he goes on now to bring out spiritual applications behind it, letting this woman know that I am the well of living waters. So we're talking about eternal life, but there's also a literal water now that consists of electrolytes, alkaline, and things, and it has a pH balance. But we do know now, again, that all these, the natural water is being polluted. So we have to see now how this all ties in with Scripture. Again, verse 20 says, and Elohim said, let the waters bring forth abundantly. And the word that we're looking for is wriggle. So what does the word wriggle mean? Okay, let's go to some definitions here, because we're talking about a process from what we call we have from density to matter, from matter to atoms, from atoms to cells, from cells to organisms, from organisms to bodies. This is what all Genesis, the 1st chapter, is talking about. It's talking about cells and organisms and bodies. But these things went through a process called, this word is taboo, okay, amongst a lot of Hebrews and Christians, where we actually evolved, okay? We evolved. Man was not created, okay, a big full-grown man the way that you see me now, all right? We went through a process called where we evolved, all right, from cells to organisms, from densities to matters. All that whole thing that I broke down on other shows that I did is that we started from cells, all right? That's my whole thing. Now, what I began to do is to look at the word wriggle, and being that sperm is very important, the question is now, does sperm wriggle? W-R-I-G-G-L-E. Now, scientists have identified, I'm reading this now from the BBC News World Edition. This was posted on February the 17th, 2003. Okay, so these are credible reports here. Scientists have identified what makes sperm wriggle and swim. The discovery could lead to significant advances in fertility treatment. The key is protein. All right, protein called dynein, which is also found in the lungs, the nervous system, and elsewhere in the body. Now, I just wanted to just leave that off there about protein, and this protein called dynein. And I wanted to show that there's actually water, okay, in sperm. There's water in sperm. In sperm, there are building blocks. Building blocks. So my argument is going to be this now. When we go to now, Barashyth 1 and 20, where it says that Elohim said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature. The next word we're going to look at is the word moving creature. And the word moving creature is the Strong's number 8318. Now, it has a basic definition with a slight variation. The word wriggle this time is absent. However, it picks up a new word in definition, and the word is quadruped, like I talked about last week or 2 weeks ago. And a quadruped is a mammal, all right? That's going to be very important. A quadruped is a mammal that has 4 limbs. Like I said 2 weeks ago, again now, this is just a quick recap. And a quadrupedal is a mammal that has 4 feet, like a horse, a dog, a cat, elephant, giraffe, etc. But what I'm trying to show here is the connection between humans living in water and from water to land. Okay, again, humans had their beginnings in water and from water to land. That's the reason why I brought out the whole thing about sperm and the whole thing about wriggle. When we see now the water being brought up into one location, the earth is now fertile. We have a situation now. It's like a water breaking, and these cells, and I'm talking about here in particular a sperm cell, as it wriggles and it begins to break the ovum of the woman, it's the same thing that happens in the earth. When the shepherd or when the landowner plants a seed in the earth, it begins the process of germination, okay, or seeding, where it now begins to fertilize the ground. And this is the same thing that's happening when we read now Barashyth 1:20, and I'm going to read it again. And Elohim said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly, okay, the moving creature that have life, and fowls that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of Shamayim." So we see now also fowls, or which are birds, are also coming from the waters. All right, everything comes from water, all of it. All right, Yahushua HaMashiach said, "I am that living water." All right, now what else I want to do here? In verse 21, it says, "And Elohim created great wells, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth again, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And Elohim saw that it was told." All right? Elohim saw that it was told. Now, the next word of interest is the word well, all right? And then we have to ask ourselves, all right, what is a well? We all know that a well is a mammal, okay? A well is a marine mammal. And how does this now connect with us being humans, where we once lived in water, okay, embryonic fluid, and we now have a situation where after the whole process of birth, okay, the water breaks and we can no longer live inside of water, where we now become land mammals when prior we were aqua mammals. All right, and we're going to prove all of this here in the scripture. What is a well? Example, a well can drown. All right, I found that very, very important. A well can drown. A dolphin can drown. A hippopotamus can drown. An alligator can drown. All right, the connection here is this: with humans being born in water, and once they now adapt to the atmosphere here, because we have 2 different atmospheres. There's an atmosphere in the literal water, and there's oxygen in that water. But when we break the water of the mother's womb, and and there's birth or conception, as the baby is still attached to the umbilical cord, and as soon as that umbilical cord is cut, because the baby is getting his or her oxygen through the umbilical cord, then the doctors have to immediately now get the amniotic fluid out of the nose and out of the mouth, and we're going to go into that a little bit little bit later, because what happens now is that the baby begins to breathe, okay, the common air that we breathe now, all right? And so if the baby now was to go back into the water, okay, or this fluid again here now, the baby would drown, because the baby now has made this transfer from one type of oxygen to another type of oxygen there. All right. There's an article that I want to share with you. Okay. I just want to make sure that we have a clear understanding of everything. I had made mention of quadrupeds. All right. Because my argument is that there was a primitive man prior to Adam, and there was also a primitive man walking around even during the time of Adam. All right. We're going to show all of this in the scripture. There's a guy who I find very interesting. His name is Uner, U-N-E-R, Tan, T-A-N, and he talks a little bit about quadrupeds, all right, human quadrupeds. And I'm going to see if I can get this here on camera a little bit, where you actually see humans, and it looks as if they're now regressing, okay, regressing. Where we now have a picture of a baby that's actually walking in an ape-like position, all right, an ape-like position, all right, and you can also find some of this on a TV show called Nova, okay, the family that walks on all fours. And then it even goes on to talk about the bone structure on take, for example, like a horse or a giraffe, and how their bone structure, okay, differs from humans now. Okay, so that there's a big difference. So again, you can look up some of these things here, and I just wanted to make sure that I try to give as much information as possible, where it even shows the difference in the femur, okay, between a quadrupedal and a quadruped. All right. So the purpose of this show is to do this. It's to show the uniqueness of the Father Ab Yahweh. I'm also trying to show now that there can be abnormalities at birth. We have situations where babies are born with autism. We have situations where babies are born with Down syndrome. We have situations where babies are born hermaphrodites. And it is true, people are born hermaphrodites having both organs. But we have a situation where we see in the creation story, we said that everything was good, right? And I don't have a problem with that. But we also can't dismiss the fact that we also have a situation where there's disagreeableness also hanging around, and there has been genetic manipulation all throughout the scripture. And I can also show that, which we're going to do here tonight. All right. Siamese twins. Okay. We see all of these things happening, and these things begin to happen because something happens within inside of the genetic pool. For example, like I brought out a couple of weeks ago, the human consists of 46 chromosomes. Down syndrome is 47 chromosomes. A chimpanzee is 48 chromosomes. All right, so I'm not getting to this whole thing, like I said before, where I believe that a man came from a monkey and all this other stuff. I don't believe that. I have not found that to be true in the scripture. But if a person wanted to go that route, I'm more interested in what's going on with marine mammals and earth mammals. Meaning this is that a whale has 44 chromosomes. 44. Now, 22 of the 22 chromosomes, 13 of those chromosomes from a dolphin, all right, are exactly the same as a human. I'm going to say that again. Out of the 22 hormones, okay, out of the 22 chromosomes, 13 of them are exactly like a human. Meaning this now is that we all share a great link with everything that's around us. Everything. But that marine mammal is very, very important to us because of our beginnings from living inside of the amniotic fluid inside of the mother's womb, again, to being mammals here on Earth. All right. So let me just go ahead and go through that a little bit here. Now, what I found interesting about when you go to Genesis 1:21, where it reads, just get my notes here again, and it reads, "And Elohim created great wells, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth, which the waters brought forth." I'm going to say it again, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind. When I look at that word kind, and every winged fowl after his kind, and Elohim saw that it was good. Everything was told, everything. But remember the battle that happened in Shamayim. And then we find ourselves in a situation where the earth became chaotic. Chaos. Disagreeableness was here on the earth, and so all of this recreation happening. Again, a recreation story is being told in Barashyth, the first chapter, and in the second chapter. The earth is being replenished again, meaning that there was life prior to the destruction. There was life underneath the waters, okay? All of these cells and organisms that was inside of the water, okay, that actually again germinated the earth, so that when the Father brought all of the water up into one place, we see now that the earth, okay, the Arats now was in a position where it can now begin to rejuvenate or start the whole creation process all over again. This is what's going on in the book of Barashyth. Now, let's get some more into this here. All right. Let's see here. Let's see here. Make sure all of this is correct. Because what's happening now was that I was actually even challenged on some of these things here about the importance of water. And when you begin to look at water and how we were marine mammals. Okay, when I say marine, I'm talking about water. We have the human body consists of 3/4 water. Sperm contains anywhere between 80 to 90% water. All right, so, and I began to talk about also the water that we're breathing now in the form of oxygen, because we have like three forms. We have a solid, a liquid, and a gas. So when we're actually breathing in, or we're inhaling and expiration, we now have again water or fluid going inside, and we're expelling the carbon, and all of these things are very beneficial, or that they're needed for our breathing. All right, so water is going to be very important. Verse 24. Verse 24, all right? No, actually, there's another word that I want to look at. Okay, there's another word I want to look at is, let's do it this way. Just want to make sure everything is correct here, all right? Yeah, let's go down to 24, all right? I'm going to read 20, I read 21, 22. And Elohim blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let fowls multiply in the earth." And the evening and the morning were the 5th day. Verse 24. And Elohim said, "Let the earth bring forth the living creature." All right. Verse 24 is going to be very, very important, because when it talks about the living creature, all right, the word living, as we know, the word is Hayah, and the word creature here is talking about nefesh. Okay, nefesh. After his kind, cattle. The word cattle there is behema, and creeping thing, and beasts of the earth after his kind, and it was so. And Elohim made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after its kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. All right. Elohim saw that it was good. That word kind, all right, that word kind is the word mayan, okay, where we have the mem, okay, the yod, and the nun sofit, and it means to apportion out of a species or a sort of species. So my argument is this, is that every sperm, every cell, by the divine works of the Father Ab Yahuwah, he already knew what it would evolve into. All right. A whale was always a whale. Okay. An octopus was always an octopus, and so forth and so forth. But they did go through, again, an evolution or an evolving process. Take, for example, again, this dolphin is very important. There are historical finds where dolphins used to have legs. Okay, legs. We do know for a fact that, just look these things up, okay, because there's no such thing as a coincidence, and how we're all interconnected with a lot of things here. If you were to take an X-ray of a dolphin's fins, all right, are extremely similar to the arm of a human, the wrist of a human, and actually the fingers, the hands of a human. My argument is this, is that when a baby is inside of the mother's amniotic fluid, he's inside of the sac there, the baby is going through a process of, he's evolving. Meaning that at a certain point of development, the baby fingers are webbed. The feet are webbed. Inside of the amniotic fluid, the baby is actually floating in this fluid, this amniotic fluid, and this amniotic fluid contains water, life. Nothing can exist without water. And inside the water is oxygen. Now, there's an argument. They say, well, okay, babies don't breathe in the mother's womb, all right? Because the baby is getting all of his or her oxygen through the umbilical cord. I have no problem with that. I'm good with that. But this is where it gets very interesting at, okay? Around the 28th week, the baby begins to develop a product called surfactant, all right? Surfactant is very important because by the time we get to the 38th or the 40th week, the baby practices breathing inside the womb. This surfactant acts as a lubricant. And what happens now is that while the baby is practicing breathing inside of the mother's womb, the baby is inhaling, okay, this amniotic fluid. But as the baby begins to develop, the baby now is less dependent on the oxygen that's coming from the mother's umbilical cord. So that by the time the baby is born, okay, and the doctors begin to clear all of this mucus, this amniotic fluid from out of the baby's nose and mouth and trying to get it out of the lungs, the baby has to already know by that time everything has to be popping on. It has to be moving by that time, because if not, the baby can suffocate and die. All right, so this practicing of breathing is done in the mother's womb. Now, I must say this, okay, I just want to make sure that it's clear. The baby's lungs do not function the same way in the mother's womb, the way that it functions outside in this atmosphere that we have now, all right? Two different types of water. And again, in this amniotic fluid, okay, there is water. And where there's water, there is oxygen. The baby body consists of millions and millions of cells. Every single cell contains water. All right? Water is essential for life. Without the proper balance of water, we all die. The water that we're drinking now from the stores, okay, is dead, stagnant water. As we know now, the water that we should be drinking now is the water that has alkaline in it, the electrolytes, and it has to have a certain pH balance. And this is what's even happens now, okay, with this side again of the amniotic fluid that the baby is now in. All right, pH balance is very important. Electrolytes is important. We talked about sperm. We talked about protein. How all of that's important. These are all the combinations that consist in water that now brings us to life. All right, this is the whole importance of life here. Everything is in the water, and everything started from a cell. Okay. And we go from density to matter to atoms to cells to organs to bodies. All of this is how it works, and this is what Genesis, the first chapter and the second chapter, is talking about. All right, I'm just trying to speed things up here a little bit. All right, just to try to prove some of the things that I'm saying. Okay, this is from the Penn Medicine. Okay, laboratory out in Pennsylvania. He goes on to talk about inside a pregnant woman's uterus is an amniotic sac, which contains amniotic fluid and the growing fetus. The amniotic fluid is important for several reasons. It keeps the baby warm. And I talked about the whole thing, but I'm trying to show the parallels here is where even when the Father drew all of the water together in one place, all right, in order for this whole cultivation or this germination to happen inside of the earth, you need heat. All right, you need sunlight. And so when we see now in verse 2 in Barashyth, it says that and the spirit or the ruach of Yahuwah or Elohim moved upon the face of the waters. And then in verse 3, it talked about, it said, let there be light. Light generates heat. Okay, heat. So heat is also very important, which you get from the sun, S-U-N. Okay, and that sun now stimulates the earth. This S-O-N, okay, which is Yashra'al HaMashiach, when he breathes into us the ruach, this is also that light or that heat that's inside of us that keeps us growing in his Torah. Just trying to show the parallels here where you can't miss again when we begin to look at anatomy, we begin to look at astronomy, we begin to look at agriculture, and all these things here, and plus the moedim of Yahuwah, you cannot miss, okay? You cannot miss. There has to be a creator. The human body shows by design that there's a mainframe, okay? And then the mainframe sends out messages. You can't miss. It's all there. Okay? Let me read on a little bit more, all right? The amniotic fluid is important for several reasons. It helps keep the baby warm, and because his body parts are growing so fast, the fluid provides lubricants that keeps them from growing together. In some cases, fingers and toes become webbed as a result of not enough amniotic fluid, and when that happens now is that what doctors are able to do now, they're able to make surfactant. All right, so surfactant is very important in women who've had children, and just being a woman, you know, altogether, you know the importance of surfactant and its importance of while being developed in the womb, where if it's not enough is produced, the lungs will actually like stick together. All right, and again, like I said earlier, when we get to about the 38th or the 40th week of pregnancy, what happens now is that the baby is becomes less dependent on the mother, where the baby practices breathing inside of the womb. And we have a situation where there's something I wanted to bring out. The baby begins to actually produce his own amniotic fluid through his urine, okay, through the urine. So all of this is inside of this amniotic fluid, and the baby is taking in all of this, all right? And again, the key thing is that water, okay, and with inside of water, there's oxygen. Your cells contains water. The baby does practice breathing inside of the mother's womb, all right? Those are my facts, or the things that I want to bring to everybody's attention. And again, because I know this is controversial, a baby's lungs does not function the same way outside of the womb, the way that it did outside of the womb. Excuse me. The baby's lungs does not function here on this terrain the way that it did in the mother's womb. All right. I don't want to go too fast here. Another thing that I found very important is a word called meconium. All right. Meconium, aspiration syndrome, and meconium is just a thing where the baby can actually make a bowel movement while he's inside of the mother's womb. This usually happens now after birth, but there are cases where it can happen while the baby is still in the mother's womb, all right? And this can actually be inhaled, okay? And they call this meconium aspiration syndrome, which can be a major problem. So again, I'm just trying to show here, okay, that the lungs are actually being practiced inside of the mother's womb, all right? That's what I'm trying to bring here to the table. Yashra'al, I believe that's about it, because there's oh, no, excuse me. No. There's a whole lot more. Excuse me. Give me about 20 to 30 more minutes, all right? Now, this is what I want to do. When you read now Barashyth, the first chapter, verses 1 through 25, and I'm talking about cells and organisms, and I'm talking about protozoas and amoebas and things like that, and how if you look at a sperm cell, as everybody know, it looks basically like this, all right? Like a tadpole. If you begin to look at the beginning stages of a dolphin, it has the same beginning stages, all right? A baby has to develop ears. A baby has to develop a skeletal, what's the word I'm looking for? A skeletal bones. It has to develop all of these things. And this sperm here, there are messages in the sperm, okay? And once it goes to the ovum, because women don't have eggs, all right? We're not reptiles. We're not reptilians like that. And so what happens now is that when this sperm cell, the tail breaks off and it goes into the ovum, and this now, once a sperm cell goes into the ovum, what usually happens now is that this lining becomes thicker or harder, where now other sperm cells can't get in. So there's usually like one sperm cell that's inside of the ovum, but it can happen. We know this to be true, where a woman can actually have triplets or twins and so forth, all right? But again, I just wanted to bring some of that to the table. So again, creation began with cells, all right? And I'm looking at the ovum here as the earth, and the man, okay, planting the seed, and it releases millions and millions and millions of sperm cells, and these sperm cells know exactly where to go, okay? They swim inside of the woman, and inside of the woman, there's also a lubricant, okay, where also that contains water. And again, the sperm knows exactly where to go, and we had this whole thing where the strongest gets the prize, where it actually makes conception. All right, just wanted to bring that out. Now, with everything that I just said now, and we have in verse 24, and Elohim said, "Let the earth bring forth the living creature and its kind, and cattle." That word cattle is going to be very, very important, because that word cattle in Hebrew is the word bahama. Okay, bahama, or some people say bahima. And it means a dumb beast, okay, a dumb beast, especially any large quadruped, all right? And I brought out some pictures before of a quadruped. Now, my argument is that from verses 1 through 24, we have the beginning stages of a man. A man is there. But what happened now is that this man is not up to par, okay? Because this man is going to be given an assignment, all right? He's going to be given an assignment. Watch how we read verse 26. And Elohim said, let us make man in our image and after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowls of the air, and over the cattle. The word cattle there is behema, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Now we're going to slow it down. And Elohim said, let us make man in our image. The question then becomes now, let us create man in our image. What image was the man prior to him being created in the image of Elohim? Because we already explained now how everything came from the water. Everything came from the water. And Adam, this man here, was not created a full-grown man. My argument is that a man did exist. And Elohim said, now, let us make man in our image. In our image. And after our likeness. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowls of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. The man already existed. We have what's going on here is what we call genetic splicing. Yes, genetic splicing. But you will not be able to find the word genetic splicing in the scripture. You're not going to be able to find it. But if you look up the word kind, K-I-N-D, K-I-N-D, and it's the Strong's number, I'm just get it for you again, it's the Strong's number 4327. It gives a very, very interesting definition. Let me see if I have that definition for you, okay? Let me see if I have that, because I just want to make sure I get all of the information that I can for you. I have so much here. Just bear with me 1 minute. No, I don't have that definition with me. But just look into the Strong's number 4327. All right, it gives a very, very interesting definition for the word kind. And the Hebrew word is mayan, and that's the mem, the yod, and the nun. All right. So again, my argument is that in verse 26, when it says that Elohim said, let us make man in our image, my argument is that, you know what, the man already existed, but we have a situation now where man is going to now be upgraded, okay, and he's going to now be in the image and after the likeness of Elohim. We see now this whole thing with genetic splicing and with genetics and chromosomes and things like that, even happening when Adam was put to sleep. In medical terms, the way that we understand being put to sleep now, we're only talking about it's a surgery procedure where he was given something, put him to sleep. Was it Novocaine, lidocaine, whatever it might have been? Something put him into a gas was put over him where he was actually relaxing and he was put to sleep. And then we talk about a situation where something was taken from him, all right, where we now have a man with a womb, or a woman, all right, and we can go into that a little bit later, but I'm just trying to show here now where there's been again genetic splicing and things like that are definitely going on in the scripture. Now, my one last proof that there was a primitive man, okay, walking alongside of Adam, and I want to go to the book of Jonah. Okay, the book of Jonah. All right, the book of Jonah. If anybody have any questions about anything, because I'm going real fast here, please give me, just hit me up on YouTube or email me and I can get back with you, all right? This is what I find very interesting, the book of Johanna, or the book of Jonah, the 3rd chapter, and I'm going to start at verse 1. And listen very closely. And the word of Yahuwah came to Jonah the 2nd time, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and proclaim to it the message that I'm speaking to you. And Jonah arose and went to Nineveh, according to the words of Yahuwah. Now Nineveh was a great city before Elohim, a 3 days' journey. And Jonah began to go into the city on the first day's walk, and he cried out and said, Yet 40 days, we know that the word 40 represents atonement, okay? 40 days and Nineveh shall be overthrown. And the men of Nineveh believed in Elohim and proclaimed a suah, or a fast, and put on, watch this now, verse 5, and the men of Nineveh believed in Elohim and proclaimed a fast, and put on sackcloth from the greatest to the least of them. Verse 6, and the word reached the sovereign of Nineveh, so he arose from his throne and took off his robe and covered himself with sackcloth and sat in ashes. Now this sovereign, this king said, he proclaimed and said throughout Nineveh, by decree of the sovereign and his nobles, no man or beast. That word beast is Bahima or Bahama. No man or Bahama, herd or flock shall taste whatever. Let them not eat, let them not even drink water. Now watch verse 8. But let man and beast be covered with sackcloth, and call mightily to Elohim, and let each one turn from his evil way, from the violence that is in his hands. Who knows whether Elohim turns and relents and shall turn away from the heat of his displeasure, so that we do not perish. And Elohim saw their works, that they turned from their evil way, and Elohim relented from the evil which he had said what he would do to them, and he did not do it. Now, let's go back to verse 8. But let man and beast, this Bohema, be covered with sackcloth. This is the thing here now, all right, with verse 8. This Bohema, all right, I'm saying is a primitive wild man. Okay, he's a beast man. The scripture says here now is that, but let man and beast be covered with sackcloth. Now, and cry mightily unto Yahuwah. Now, we know that this can't be, okay, a quadrupedal, okay, and a quadrupedal is this. It's an animal like a horse, a giraffe, anything that walks on all fours. Because a monkey, a horse, cows, and chickens, all right, cannot cry mightily unto Yahuwah. They cannot say, Yahuwah, forgive us of our trespasses. They can't. This behemoth here now, okay, is talking about a wild, beast-like man. A wild man. For example, you see now people with quadrupedals, which are like your dogs and your cats. And what they do now is that they do put clothes on them. Because we do see dogs going to doggy parlors and things like that, where they get their teeth brushed. You can buy them scarves. You can buy them boots. You can get their fingernails painted. All these things you can do. But this is the thing. A dog, a cat, and all these other things, they naturally have hair. And the kicker is going to be this, is that they can't cry to Yahuwah for Yahuwah to forgive them of their sins. They can't do that. So we need to now identify what is this beast here that's called Bahima here in the book of Yohanan, the 3rd chapter, verse 8, and we also see the word behema now also mentioned in Barashyth, the 1st chapter, verse 24, when you look at the word cattle. Again, Yashra'al. This is how this story works, all right? A lot of things I'm sure that a lot of you brothers and sisters already know. But we have to also remember, there's been a lot of things hidden from us. A lot of these things we already knew. But because of sin, and because there's somebody else occupying our homeland, they now are holding back information that we once knew. We once knew these things. So my argument is this, is make sure you do your research. Look up each and every word. Every word, because it's going to be very, very important. Because for me personally, when I see now how things evolved, okay, when I begin to see anatomy, when I begin to see agricultural things, when I begin to see astronomy, this gives me a greater respect for the Father of Yahuwah, and I can clearly see, okay, how the Messiah is working through all of this. I can clearly see it. And one more time, Yehukanan, excuse me, not Yehukanan, but the book of Jonah, the 3rd chapter, verse 8, it says, "But let man and beast be covered with sackcloth and call mightily to Yahuwah." I need for somebody to explain to me, if that's not a primitive man, show me how a chicken, how a dog, and how a cat, and how any other thing now, okay, can cry out to Yahuwah and ask for forgiveness of sins. Because remember, we're talking about a 40-day span, and the number 40 represents atonement, and atonement is repentance of your sins. What's going on here in the book of Jonah, the 3rd chapter, the 8th verse? All right, so this is my quick version of that, okay? And I'm going to have to definitely revisit this again, because there's a ton of information that's going on in Genesis, or the book of Barashyth, the 2nd chapter. I mean, it is a ton. And I will revisit it, okay? It's just that I wanted to just, kind of speed things up a little bit, all right? And I pray that you've got some edification behind this. If there's any questions regarding anything that I said, please hit me up through YouTube or my email address, and we'll try to handle it from there. All right. And so with that, Yashra'al, I'm going to say peace and blessings. I pray that everybody enjoyed their Shabbat. Okay. And from there, I'll just see you the next time. All right. Shabbat Shalom, Mishpachar.